friends, and welcome back to Stronger Every Day. Today I wanted to talk to you about what depression and anxiety feels like. Now, a lot of us who have struggled with it already know the answer to this question, but maybe either A, you're having some things going on and you're really not fully aware that maybe you are struggling with depression and anxiety, or maybe you're someone who has a loved one or a friend and you just want to know kind of what they're going through, just to be able to understand, which is really the main reason why I took this channel in this direction. It's very hard to be very raw and vulnerable and exposed, especially as someone who's tried to hide said problems for the past 27 years. It's very difficult to be this open and honest about things when I've been very embarrassed and ashamed for said time, and I did not want anyone to know that I had these issues. So my goal is to help people understand that, one, you're not alone. Two, other people are going through what you're going through. They've been where you are. They are where you are. Also, to help people who have never experienced it to understand and maybe have a little bit more compassion and a little bit more love, a little bit more understanding about depression and anxiety and mental illness. And I think as a society, that's where we lack so much, is if we don't understand something, we automatically criticize, condemn, judge, and just put away in the basement, right? Because we don't understand it. We don't take the time to understand it. We don't want to understand it. We don't comprehend it, so it's bad. And not just the mental illness arena of things, but a lot of things in life we don't understand, and so that's how we react to it. So I wanted to start out with some of the physical symptoms. Sorry, I've got Gordy here and he's just not feeling all that well today, so he's kind of nudging my leg every now and then. So some of the physical symptoms that I have personally experienced, there's a host of symptoms, but you can do a quick Google search and find that. But for me, it is the inability to concentrate. So it's very difficult for me to concentrate when I'm going through depression and anxiety. It's also affects my stomach. So I'm either nauseous, I'm having nausea and vomiting, or one or the other. I'm having upset stomach, meaning diarrhea. I am sleeping all the time or not sleeping enough. I have thyroid issues. It can also contribute to that. And I've had thyroid issues, just thinking about it, talking to you guys. No, I think I was diagnosed with thyroid a little bit after I realized that I had depression and anxiety. I think it was maybe 3 or 4 years after that. So they didn't come at the same time, but it can certainly cause issues with that. Again, sleep disturbances, whether you're sleeping too much or not sleeping enough, and neither one of those is good. It also can cause, for me, major brain fog, not just lack of concentration, but I just can't remember anything, and I have to write a lot down. I use a lot of sticky notes. I use a lot of using my phone, the notes file in my phone. I'll make notes on. I struggle with energy, and not just energy, but being exhausted and tired. And to me, there's a difference. When I'm going through depression, I feel like I've been awake for 72 hours, and the whole 72 hours I've been running a marathon. I'm exhausted. My arms hurt, my back hurts, my legs hurt. I get a headache a lot. It hurts. It actually hurts, and I have arthritis too. So it's a moving my arm to brush your teeth, or putting my legs down to get out of bed, or going back and forth to the bathroom or to the kitchen or to work, or whatever that looks like for you. And then it's tired, because I typically don't sleep, so I'm constantly tired, which also contributes to the lack of concentration and the brain fog. It also affects what you eat, whether you eat too much or you don't eat enough. And I go back and forth on that. There's times that I won't eat hardly anything, and there's times that I feel like I'm eating 5 meals a day. It's going to be a little bit different for everybody, but those are some of the big symptoms as far as physical. Now, the more emotional symptoms, and this is the part where I think we as society think, well, you know, it's something you can control. So that it's more of a weakness, not a medical condition. And that couldn't be further from the truth. No one who is depressed and has anxiety or is bipolar or has any other mental health condition wants to be that way. We would all like to be quote unquote normal, and I don't even know what that looks like. I don't know that I know anybody that I think, you know, that person's got it all together and they're just the normal person. I don't know that I know anybody that is like that, but someone that has it more together than I do and doesn't have as many struggles in the mental health area is what I'm talking about as far as normal. It is just a complete, I'm trying to think of the right phrasing for this. It's a lack of joy. It's a lack of loving anyone. Love, period. Loving yourself, loving others. It's you're irritable. For me, it's I'm withdrawn. I'm withdrawing away. I become irritable. I have zero tolerance and zero patience for anything or anyone. I'm struggling to just maintain, let alone any outside stressors coming in. And that's one thing that makes it extremely hard for people with depression and anxiety to have a regular 9-to-5 job, whatever that looks like, day shift, second shift, third shift. I've worked them all, because you're struggling, to be bluntly honest, you're struggling to just be alive, to make it through the day. And when you have these outside stressors, which are normal day-to-day things, whether it is bills due, or you need to go to the grocery store, or your car breaks down, or there's something that goes wrong at work with either a customer or a patient or a client or a fellow employee, something happens to someone in your family, any of these outside stressors just zonk me out. And if you've never been in that place, you probably don't understand that. Because my husband, we talk about this a lot, and it's my neighbor driving by. We talk about this a lot, how I react to a situation versus how he reacts to a situation. And it's gotten better on my end because I am fully just doing everything and anything in my power to change my situation. It has gotten better, but even the smallest things that happen, I react one way and he reacts another. And that's human nature. We're all going to react differently to things, but sometimes he doesn't understand why I react a certain way, and I don't understand why he reacts a certain way, because they're so different, and the level of emotion is different, and the level of being able to say, here's said problem, here's how we're going to handle it, and move on is usually very different. Because when I'm having a depression and anxiety time period, those sink me even further. Even when it feels like you can't go any further, those just sink me down. And they don't, it's not that he's invincible and they don't bother him, but he's better able and better equipped to say, okay, it's a problem, we're going to deal with it, and we're going to move on. Where I'm thinking of, you know, the roller coaster in your head. Okay, our truck broke down a couple of weeks ago. Okay, the truck broke down. Now, how much is it going to cost? And do we have the money? And what's this going to mean for our future plans? And what's this going to mean for our financial stability? And what's this going to mean? What if something else happened? You know, it's the repeat. And I have to stop and say, no. We're going to fix that problem. We're going to be grateful that we have the ability to fix said problem, and we're going to trust that God's going to handle the rest. And it's difficult, but I can tell you this, it is the most peaceful feeling to know that I'm just going to give it to him. And let him handle it. So the anxiety part of it is the other kind of swing. Now, there are a lot of similarities between anxiety and depression, but there are some differences. And for me, I wrote some down. I'll worry a lot. I'll get worried about things that are out of my control, and they'll be again on repeat in my mind. My heart rate will go sky high. I have a bad problem, and I've been in the hospital many times with my blood pressure dropping and my heart rate skyrocketing and extreme levels. And then sometimes it's vice versa. And typically it's not that I have a blood pressure issue. My blood pressure is typically on the lower side. It's typically 110-ish over 60. My heart rate's typically on the low side. It's typically, I think it's brachycardia. It's typically in the 50s, low 60s, 50s area. But there's times when, like, I've been told, okay, you need to get to the emergency room. Like, that's way bad. And then, you know, I get there and they're like, well, I mean, it just is what it is, you know. And then usually within a few days I'm fine. I'll also get nervous and tense, and I'll get to the point that I don't realize I'm that nervous and tense, but I'll start like an inner shake. You can't visibly see me shaking on the outside. Sometimes you can, but an inner shake, or a shake that you can see on the outside, almost like you're shivering in the cold. And I'll start sweating at times when I get nervous. I mean, even if I'm just sitting here and for some reason I get nervous right now, I might start shaking and sweating. The other thing is, again, I've talked about that, my heart rate goes up. And to say to someone that you can control these things if you would just ask God to take it away from you is just this, you know. Anyway, we're not talking about that today. But so when you see a loved one that is having some of these issues, just understand that I know for my husband, he's always thinking, will she upset at something I've done? And so I try to be honest with him and say, I'm having this thought today, and I want you to know that, because I don't want you to think that you're responsible for it. It just is what it is. It's very difficult for me to do that, because typically I want to withdraw and just hide it and be ashamed of it. But what it ends up doing is it makes people around you think that they've done something, or that you're just an angry person. Where if you would just be honest with those close to you, you don't need to broadcast to everyone, but for those close to you, listen, this is the thoughts that are running through my head today. I just want you to know that. I'm working on it. I'm praying about it. I'm changing my mind to think on different things, but I just want you to know that if you see me and you think, well, what is wrong? Here's what's going on. It will be okay. I just wanted to be upfront and honest, instead of letting people think, well, what have I done? Is there something wrong? Developing an opinion on their own, because we all know what rabbit holes you can go down on that. So just a few things that you can kind of look for. Like I said, you can Google a whole host of situations. I always get a little leery about Google, because I mean, honestly, you can Google something, a symptom that can be you ate something wrong to cancer, right? So I mean, there's just a wide variety of things that you get from Google, but from someone who has dealt with it and is dealing with it for the past 27 years, those are some of my main symptoms. I typically know right off the bat that I am struggling, that I'm at the beginning of a struggle when something happens and I overreact. Then I know that I'm there. If something messes my sleep pattern up, which I have been in a weird sleep pattern for a couple months, but my mood is stabilized. So that's something new for me. But typically, something happens and I really blow it out of proportion and overreact, then I know I need to stop and focus on my mental health for a bit. And then when I just can't sleep and my sleep schedule's all over the place, and when you don't sleep properly, that leads to said issues as well. So those two things typically are when I first feel myself just wanting to withdraw, which is hard for me because I'm more of an introvert. So there's always that tendency for me to just rather stay home. But it's beyond that. It's no, I don't want to. I'm not going out. I don't want to. And it's more than just a day, because there's sometimes you just need to be by yourself and kind of reset. But it's that feeling of just nope, I can't deal with all this out here. And there's nothing wrong with feeling that way. You just need to recognize it and start helping yourself when you're still up here, versus when you've ridden the roller coaster all the way to the bottom, and then you're having to start at the bottom and teach yourself all these things to bring yourself back up. I hope that this helps. I hope it maybe helps you understand that your symptoms are not abnormal, that there are other people that feel that way. What I hope it helps, I guess, the most is for you to understand there's nothing wrong with you. You have this disease just like someone has heart disease, or someone has cancer, or someone has diabetes, or someone has migraines, or someone has, I'm drawing a blank, but any other liver disease, any other disease. It is a disease, and there are things you can do to help it, yes. And I would encourage you to do that. I have other videos on that. But you're not condemned or abnormal or wrong or less of a person or not lovable because you have these issues. You are loved. And I always like to end the video this way. It means a lot for me for you to hear this. And I hope you make it all the way to the end to hear this. But I like to end it like this because maybe you haven't heard it and you need to hear it. And you'll hear it twice a week from me. Or anytime you need to message me, you can message me. God loves you. I love you. Your family loves you. Your friends love you. And you are needed here. We'll see you in the next video, guys. Thanks.